Welcome everyone. My name is Long Wen. Today I'm going to be talking about Group 10's ethical business plan. For our business plan, we came up with a company called Habit Games. Habit Games is a gaming company which core goal is deliver the best possible player experience through creating player-focused games, fostering a positive and inclusive company culture, and a strong community of players, streamers, and esports professional. You know, our idea origination is really just, our passion for playing video games ourselves, having played so many different variety of games and having, faced a couple of issues and flaws in each one. We just thought it'd be a cool idea to create a gaming company of our own, which can possibly be the ultimate solution to all those games. Our purpose, values, and missions. At the core of Havoc Games is a commitment to fairness, integrity, and innovation. Our mission is to push the boundaries of game design while maintaining a player-first philosophy. We value transparency, ensuring that monetization practice do not exploit players, but instead enhance their enjoyment for the game. To make sure that we stay true to our mission, we'll constantly ask ourselves some key questions that shape our decision making and guide our growth as a company. Some of these questions are, how do we maintain a competitive gaming environment while prioritizing player well-being and community integrity? And another question that we'll continue to ask ourselves is, how can we continuously evolve our game while keeping our core player base engaged? So, objective and key result. Our first objective and key result is that at Havoc Games, our goal is to develop an engaging competitive gaming experience that minimizes toxicity and online multiplayer environments. You know, to ensure this happens, we hope to reduce our reports of toxic behavior by 40% within the first year or 12 months. And this will be tracked and measured through in-game reports and AI analysis. So metrics with experimentation, firstly is reduction in reported toxic behavior by measuring the percentage decrease in-game reports related to toxicity such as harassment, hate speech, griefing, and etc. over the first 12 months. The experiment here is that we're going to be creating a menu for real-time reporting where players can report other players for toxic behavior. And the goal here is that over time that the reports decrease in overtime. And we're going to be using AI to automatically detect and flag toxic language and tap and text and voice chat and categorize reports such as verbal, abuse, hate speech, griefing, cheating, etc. And we're going to be tracking this monthly for changes in report frequency and make sure that AI detected toxicity and player reports correlate for accuracy. Secondly, is that we're going to ask players for their thoughts and feedback on the effectiveness of toxic reduction through a survey. And the goal here is for 75% of the players to rate their experience at a 7 or higher. 1 being never and 10 being constantly. And just some of the questions in the survey are going to be, how often did you encounter toxic behavior in this match? Another question would be, did the in-game reporting system feel effective to the player? And lastly, we're going to be measuring how accurately, AI moderation and detection matches with human reports. The goal here is for AI detection to actually match play report accuracy 90% of the time. There can be issues where AI detection falsely flags a player and punishes them because of just, AI being weird. So here's just a table of, different financial risks, privacy risks, conflicting interests, and violation of rights risks. And it kind of just labels the players, company, esports teams, or streamers from low, medium to high. Um, One of the primary ethical concerns revolves around privacy and AI-driven moderation. Sometimes the use of AI to detect and penalize toxic behavior requires collecting and analyzing in-game chats, both text and voice. However, sometimes, this can have potential for false positives, bias in detection, and infringement on players' rights. So to do this, to prevent things like AI bias and false positives, there'll be certain AI flag reports that require, human review before a penalty is actually given to the player to make sure that false positives, decrease as much as possible. And, the goal here is to have a 90% accuracy in AI moderation decisions. And not only that, but we will be doing things such as, asking players surveys, asking for their opinions and feedback on the system and how effective they feel of AI moderation. Now, our second objective and key result is to have um, a player retention rate of 75% on, on Havoc games over a 6-month period. Our goal for Havoc games is to have this gaming company last for many years to come, and we want our player base to stay at a steady amount. And though our game is going to be continually growing, we want to keep our core player base with us in the entire time. So to measure the success, um, our approach will be versatile, incorporating both qualitative and quantitative methods to gain a kind of understanding of our players' needs and preferences. Firstly, we're going to be doing things such as tracking player retention rates through monthly surveys, focusing on things such as game satisfaction, community engagement, and technical issues. Just getting their feedback as much as possible so that we can improve our game and gaming company as much as we can. Some other things are we're going to be asking, if they face, or we're going to be asking if they face any technical issues, how would they rate their gaming experience, and just any other things that we as a company can improve on to make our players happy and satisfied. And one really big concern for this is that, as our game collects player data and, including demographics, their habits, their community interactions, and possibly even exposing, sensitive information is we have a concern for data privacy. Obviously, looking back at one of the biggest data breaches in the world was the Yahoo data breach, which exposed over 3 billion users of their, personal information. And so, data privacy and protection is really big thing for us at Habit Games. And to ensure this, happens and that we don't violate any of our players' rights, we're going to ensure that, well, firstly, we're going to implement transparent data collection practices. So, make sure that we're very transparent what we're using our data for, and and then we're going to be informing players about, the types of data that's collected, stored, and used. And then this policy will be ex easily accessible within the game on our website. You know, the Federal Trade Commission emphasized the importance of transparency in data collection, stating that companies must clearly and conspicuously disclose their data collection practices. And then another thing we're going to be doing is making player data anonymous, to prevent identification of players and protecting their sensitive information, especially during surveys. And yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Jabriella Shepherd, and I'm here to talk about Group 10's gaming company entitled Havoc. Alright, let's dive right in. I'm going to start with our third objective and key result, also known as an OKR. The objective would be to start offering AI matchmaking to users. The key results would be to find a control group of around 100 players and analyze their feedback to the AI matchmaking feature that we offer. We would search for users to have at least a 75% positive response before proceeding. The key stakeholders for this OKR would be the allocated group members assigned to this objective from the company and the control group of gamers whose feedback we will monitor. Our customer base's demographics of all economic classes, genders, and races intersected in playing primarily head-to-head games. Other organizations that may be stakeholders down the line in future OKRs may be other companies using AI tools. Havoc Games may look for their help in other developing or using their tools as part of an agreement. Because this OKR focuses on analyzing the feedback of a control group of around 100 gamers introduced to our AI matchmaking feature, aiming for a 75% acceptance rate, we set up a user acceptance experiment and recorded the results. We asked two questions in the survey. The first question was, would AI matchmaking in head-to-head combat games be something that you would be interested in? The blue stands for yes and the red stands for no. Second question is, would you recommend this feature to your friends that play video games? Again, with the blue meaning yes and the red meaning no. From these graphs, you can see that our feature of AI matchmaking is something that people would be interested in. We as a company were able to reach our OKR's goal of a 75% acceptance rate. And in this scenario, we would be able to move on to our next OKR. The OKR, where we begin offering AI matchmaking to our users, may bring us ethical issues like, is cybersecurity breach or unfairness in the AI tool for players dependent on their demographic? A specific example of how a cybersecurity breach can arise is shown from our real-world computer ethics case, where we analyzed Yahoo and their data breach case. Quote, this breach was one of the biggest cybersecurity events, impacting over 3 billion users by exposing sensitive user information such as names, email addresses, passwords, and more. End quote. A scenario of when this ethical issue may arise in our startup is with the creation of our users' accounts. When first creating an account with Havoc's Games, users will be users will be expected to provide sufficient information in areas such as names, email addresses, and passwords that would need to be filled in to use the AI matchmaking feature. Havoc Games will need to prioritize strong cybersecurity practices like encryptions and authentications to make sure that a scenario like the Yahoo data breach does not take place. Also, in the case of a breach, we must make sure to notify stakeholders as soon as possible to limit the impact that the breach can ultimately have. This here is a table of our expected ethical impact risk. The financial risk for Havoc Games, the company, is high because with one simple breach, the company can be subject to many legal consequences, as seen in the Yahoo data breach. On the contrary, the privacy risk for the company in this scenario wouldn't be too bad because the company doesn't have much information that they care to hide from the public. For conflicting interests, the company has a moderate score, as both the user and company hope for the same objective of having a quality tool that aids gaming experience. Finally, for violation of rights, the company's rights will rarely be violated as they are the ones that gather and not give out the information. The financial risk for the gamers playing with Havoc Games has a moderate score, as players, as seen in the Yahoo data breach, can be subject to having their data released to the public in a worst-case scenario. The reason for this score not being higher is in the hope of the company notifying the user as soon as the company finds out to cut down on the losses. The privacy risk that users face is high as they provide a good amount of their information to the website and therefore entrust the company with their details. For conflicting interest, I gave this one another moderate score as both stakeholders want the same objective that provides an enjoyable gaming experience. Finally, the violation of rights risk ended with a moderate score as if the company were not fully honest with their users and tried to take advantage of them, they would have to go through this risk. One example of a safeguard that can help avoid some of these ethical impacts would be to have a policy within the company where no matter the circumstance, the company pledges to reveal and be transparent about any breach as soon as they find out. One source supporting this use of this safeguard would be the ACM Code of Ethics, which states, quote, a tech professional should be transparent about the reality of their system, end quote. No matter all the safeguards that we use as a company may put in to try and stop data breaches, we cannot promise that they will never ever happen. No matter the size and impact, some data breaches are bound to happen, but we can control our responses to them. The safeguard aims to earn the trust of players and to show that no matter the losses that an ethical impact may have on a company, we will pledge to put the user first by being transparent and disclosing things as soon as they happen. To implement this safeguard, we would have an ethical expert design it. For us, it more closely relates to the morality of our company. We would be able to measure the effectiveness of such a safeguard by doing another test about how it would make the user feel knowing there was such a policy in place. Moving on to our cultural policy and core values. At Havoc Games, we strive to be known as a studio that puts players first, prioritizing fairness, innovation, community, and competitive multiplayer gaming. Our mission is to create immersive, fast-paced gamers that prioritize players' well-being, integrity, and meaningful competition. We use advanced AI-driven matchmaking and cloud-based infrastructure to ensure fair, seamless experiences for all players. Our core values are rooted in ethical game design, transparency, and inclusivity. We reject to pay with we reject to pay to win mechanics and instead focus on monetization that enhances rather than exploits player enjoyment. Our systems are built to reward skill growth and community engagement, never just spending power. We believe that competition should inspire, not divide. That's why we invest in anti-toxicity measures such as AI moderation and community governance, tools to foster a positive, welcoming environment to all players from different backgrounds. From casual players to streamers and esports professionals, everyone has a place in our ecosystem. Driven by passion and a clear understanding of this industry's flaws, we're building something better. At Havoc Games, we continuously challenge ourselves with one key question. How can we evolve multiplayer gaming to be more fair, more engaging, and inclusive without ever compromising on the joy of play?
Okay, hello. My name is David Philippus, and I will be talking about our project. 2B motivation. The company culture here at Havoc Games strives to be about curiosity, collaboration, and adaptability, and celebration. We love and push our employees to bring these types of attitude into work every day because these types of traits foster an environment that will positively reflect on the quality of games that we are putting out. Firstly, curiosity is important to us because we want our employees to find ways to think outside of the box and make games that none of our competitors are making. Alongside this, we ask our employees to collaborate on their work with each other. We find that these two work very nicely with one another because if each employee can bring their work to the table, then they can bounce ideas off each other and come up with even more brilliant ideas than if they were only working by themselves. We also encourage adaptability because in the world of games, there are always new trends or new technologies that our developers have to make sure that they work alongside with and not against. Finally, Havoc Games emphasizes celebration. Each of our employees work hard, and we make it a priority to celebrate successful projects that we have. This type of attitude shows appreciation and actually yields a better quality of work from everybody in the company. Here at Havoc Games, we fear mediocrity and perfectionism. Firstly, we fear mediocrity because we understand how many companies there are that have similar goals as us when it comes to creating games. If we accept mediocrity in any part of the process, then we remove the factor that is meant to separate us. We can be sort of curious, kind of collaborative, and sometimes able to adapt to current trends. We have to always be about principles, be about our principles all the time to produce high quality games for our users. Bouncing off of this, we can't become so infatuated with running away from mediocrity that we forget that we won't always be perfect. There might be times that we struggle to produce great results, but this cannot discourage us from still showing up to work with the right eager to learn mindset that it takes to make a fun game. Now, 2C. So, for our cultural summary, the words that we picked is innovative, fast paced, player centric game culture, and community driven game development. Now, let's get into item 3, ethics policy. 3A, core items, is fairness beyond the algorithm. So we commit to AI fairness, not just in mathematical terms like balanced win rates or matchmaking accuracy, but in its social implications. This means considering how our systems impact marginalized communities and proactively designing features that reduce bias, exclusion, and system inequality in gameplay, moderation, and matchmaking. Social impact. Have Our Game strives to make a positive social impact by serving and investing in the communities they are a part of. Now, competitive integrity. Have Our Games prioritizes fair play and takes steps to address issues like cheating, hacking, and match fixing, including updates to their esports global code of conduct. Number 4, diverse and exclusive environment. Have Our Games is committed to diversity and inclusion, both within the company and in its games, including initiatives to celebrate LGBTQIA plus identities. Now we'll get into 3B, board. The first board member is Dr. Joey Bolomanini. This doctor is a renowned digital activist, researcher, and artist who has made significant contributions to the field of AI ethics. As the founder of the Algorithmic Justice League, she has been a vocal advocate for fairness and accountability in AI systems. This doctor research has highlighted the basis in inaccuracies in facial recognition systems, and she has worked tirelessly to promote more inclusion and equitable AI practices. I would like to have this doctor on our board because of her expertise in AI ethics, particularly in the context of bias and fairness. Her insights would be invaluable to ensuring that Have Our Games AI-driven matchmaking system is fair, transparent, and free from biases that could negatively impact our players. The second board member is Rand Waltzman. Rand Waltzman is a seasoned expert in AI and cybersecurity with a background in game development and AI research. As a former Rand Corporation researcher, he has worked on various projects related to AI, cybersecurity, and gaming. Waltzman's expertise in AI and cybersecurity would be highly beneficial to Have Our Games, particularly in ensuring the security and integrity of our cloud-based infrastructure. Moreover, his experience in game development would provide valuable insights into the game industry's unique challenges and opportunities. I would like to have Waltzman on our board because of his technical expertise and ability to provide strategic guidance on AI and cybersecurity issues. Board member 3, Dr. Sasha Kotzana Chok. Dr. Sasha Kotzana Chok is a design researcher, and activist who has worked extensively on issues related to AI, design justice, and disability justice. As a researcher of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the doctor has explored the intersection of AI and social justice, highlighting the need for more inclusion in particularly design processes. This doctor has experience in design justice and AI ethics, which would be highly valuable to Have Our Games, particularly in ensuring that our games are designed with inclusivity and accessibility in mind. I'd like to have the doctor on our board because of her unique perspective on design justice, her ability to help us create more inclusion and equitable gaming experiences. Now, all 3 of these board members bring significant expertise in tech, AI, and ethics, which would be highly beneficial to Have Our Games. The doctors, Bomani and Dr. Kozana Chok's experience in AI ethics and design justice would provide valuable insights into ensuring that our games are fair, transparent, and inclusive. While Rand Waltzman's technical expertise would help us to navigate the complex issues related to AI and cybersecurity. Thank you.